Hello everyone, Man of Interest here for episode 2 of the second season of the Clueboard. Hope you guys are ready because today we have a treat. Today isn't going to be a little haphazard scatter shot pew 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 everywhere. Today we're homing in on a specific category. Today, how cool are these 65% boards that we're going to be covering? So, what are the candidates that we have for today? Got a good amount. So let's see where we end up for today. Okay, let's start us off something classy, something that a lot of people will know about. And I think the good choice to start off is going to have to be a very well-known board. It was one of the earlier boards that Rama designed. Rama was not the vendor for this board, but the designer. The group buy of this board started all the way back January 4th, 2017. And one of the unique parts about this board was it had a nylon base to very effectively diffuse R's, G's, and B's. And one of the great things about this board was the price. The board I'm talking about soared to great heights, but it made one vendor go too close to the sun, and like Icarus fell. Today I'm talking about, first up, the M65A, designed by Rama and vendored by Keyclack. This is a very popular 65% when it ran with a QMK and PS2 AVR RGB PCB. It was very popular for those long strip rubber feet that many boards emulate today, like the meme having those same exact feet, or the CA66 also having stripped bottom feet that goes through the whole entire bottom. It ran in January 2017 and it started shipping out late summer 2017, although the shipping extended all the way into 2018. Why? Because originally this was a first come first serve limited group buy, but then it was decided to open the floodgates, let anyone in who wanted to order, and the orders piled up and up and up. And could you blame them? A 65% aluminum top, a nylon base, PCB, and plate, $210, and then you got shipping and handling. That's pretty inexpensive. So very popular with a lot of people, but one of the things that definitely held the M65 back was that medium profile height on the sides. So on certain keycaps, you could see the skirt of the keycaps, and on some profiles that did not look really good. So that was definitely a bit meh for a lot of people. How cool is the M65A? I'm gonna say it now, it's not a wow. I don't want to say it's a yikes either. I think it brought a lot to the table, especially in terms of price, because a nylon base version, which is the more popular version, plus you get that brass plate, you're still under $250 before shipping. That's really inexpensive at that time. You know, a top-mounted 65% that had a very unique look to it. You know, it was one of the first boards to bring that bigger bezel kind of look without going too far. So I think it's going to be somewhere along the low cool. But where among the low cool? Is it cooler than the Leaf 60? That's going to be question number one, because I think that's worth considering. Because right now, on the cool area, the low cool area, we have the Plank and we have the Leaf 60. I think it's cooler than the Plank. I don't know if it's as cool as the Leaf 60, but it's somewhere in the low cool. And that's what I gotta decide, or possibly you gotta decide, if you can give me a good reason why it should be higher or lower. And I think it should be lower than the Leaf 60, because the Leaf 60 also accomplished, for all the extra features it had, a pretty respective price point compared to even the M65, which was already just scraping the barrel low, which also came with amazing packaging. So I'm going to put it right above the Plank. Oh, by the way, if you guys haven't noticed, this is going to mess everything up now. I'm sorry. My cards are bigger now because someone complained to me that the old ones were too small for the bigger board. So now instead of 3 inches, they're 3.5 inches. So I'm just going to mess everything up with these. Low cool is a pretty good spot for the M65A. It does have a successor. We're going to see how that successor does once it ships. Our next board that I want to talk about is one that is extremely popular in the community. This board even spawned a 65% version that came after it. And I mean a polycarbonate version that came after it, designed by one of the most prolific and popular designers in our community, this board was highly sought. This board is the TGR 910 CE. Round 1 was first come, first serve, 30 units only. It ran September 10, 2017. It features TGR's signature use of the 5052 aluminum, which is a slightly softer aluminum, 8-degree slope, brass weight, brass plates, brass blocker for the 910 corner cutout, which we will just talk about in a moment, PS2 AVR RGB PCB. The colors available were black, gray, and pink, which you could mix and match. So what did this whole kit cost? $334 with $60 shipping to the US. It featured that top corner blocker, and that was a real love or hate portion about the TGR 910. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Honestly, I kind of like that blocker there. I thought that was pretty cool. I understand a lot of people were like, well, that defeats the usability. I don't need a gap there. You know what? You don't need a gap there, but it's cool. It also had the arrow separator that many loved and many people liked on the bottom row. It had that win keyless bottom row, but you still had that 1U. So it followed 1.51, 1.57, 1.5. And people like win keyless, but they still like having that small little 1U there. Where does the TGR 910 CE fall on the Clueboard? I think it's pretty cool. There's also available, forgot to mention, an RGB kit for $15. This gave you a little acrylic piece instead of a brass piece for the 910, so the R's, G's, and B's would shine through, as well as an acrylic mid layer for those who are about that lifestyle. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's actually probably the coolest board in the cool section we've had. I think I would rank the aluminum 910 over the polycarbonate Singa, although if we were talking about the polycarbonate 910, that'd be a whole different story. Right here, I think this is a good spot. This is a pretty good spot. So I think everyone's going to be pretty happy with that there. I don't know, does anyone have any objections or rah, that's the right spot about that? Because honestly, I can't think of why it should be lower. Possibly the only reason is if you weren't a fan of the fact that it was only limited to 30 units. Our next board is also from Asia, but instead of Malaysia, we're going to be going over to China for a very interesting 65%. It has an extremely polarizing look to it. This keyboard was inspired by one of the worst keyboards of all time. It was inspired by the IBM PC Junior, and oh my god, that's a bad keyboard. Who would take that crazy idea of like, hey, this is the worst keyboard in the world, I want to model a keyboard after that? Well, Yok would. He is designer, and Bob Naive is the PCB designer. The vendor is Play Keyboards for the board known as the CA66. This is very divisive of a keyboard. I'll bring mine up for an example and demonstration on why this keyboard for a lot of people is crazy. We got a nice curved top, okay? We got a ledge for your pens and your pencils up here, okay? And yes, that is a USB-C port, only on the left side though. For the HHKB-ish versions, you get a choice for a badge. By default, it comes with a brass badge, but for the ballers without a budget, you can upgrade to a titanium badge. There is a strip right here that glows with all the R's, G's, and B's. You got the arrows separated out. You got these nav keys separated out as well. Looks extremely polarizing. The board ran round 1, $275 for the default colors, plus $16 if you wanted custom colors. Default colors were black, silver, and gray. If you wanted the custom colors, they were gray, blue, a dark red, a brown, a rose gold, and a purple. If you wanted the titanium badge like I did, and you were awesome, $22. If you also wanted a brass plate instead of an aluminum plate, another $22. So things add up. $45 to ship, TMK and QMK support on that PCB. So I think really the love or hate comes to like two major things. One is going to be this left-hand only USB-C port. Why is it left only? Why couldn't you have given us a right only? I mean, there's a daughter board that connects it, so like having a second daughter board probably would have been annoying. If you don't have a right angle USB-C connector and you get this board, you should invest in one. The feet though are very loved. They are these long stripped feet on the back. The name CA66 comes from the French 66 avec de la corniche, which means a 66 keyboard with a corniche, and a corniche means ledge. So it just means 66% keyboard with this pencil ledge for you to rest your pens and pencils. Which, why do you have a pen and pencil out when you're on a computer? I don't know. Notepad exists. Unless you need to like doodle something, I guess. How cool is this board? And this is gonna be a tough one, I think, because this is gonna be extremely polarizing. I think there's gonna be people on both sides of like extreme meh or extreme cool. One of the things that for a lot of people held it back, but for me was a bonus, was the hollowness of the case. I'm sure as I hit it, you guys can get a good sense of that hollowness to it. I think the hollowness is actually a bonus if you're like me and you use clicky switches. If you're not about that life, then you might want to fill it with sorbethane or use certain linear switches lubed a certain way to really accentuate a certain thok kind of sound. But you had to be careful, otherwise you'd get a weird resonance to it. That definitely was really interesting, but I think in terms of being inspired by the IBM PC Junior, the inspiration was taken beautifully and executed in a modern fashion amazingly, except for that left-hand USB-C port. Even the original one had like a front port. The original one actually had an IR transmitter and receiver, so you could wirelessly use the keyboard with your old IBM computer, even though like if you waved your hand in front of it, it'd lose connection. But hey, that was the life back then. So how cool is this CA66? That's what I want to know from all of you. Let's see, we got some Mez in chat, Yikes in chat as well. What do you guys think? CA66. See, I think if it goes to the meh, it's the coolest meh we have. I think if it's a cool, it's probably gonna be kinda low because of how divisive so many issues of this board are. There are a lot of cool things. The RGB strip on the top looks amazing when it's on. The overall layout has some interesting finagles about it. I'll show you one really interesting thing that very few people commented on, which is you look at this Z key and look at this Windows key. It's directly underneath. Now look at your keyboard and look at the actual realistic offset between your Z key or Windows key, or if you have a Win keyless board where that blocker exists. That was definitely a weird thing to get used to. So sometimes people who would adjust to this board, them getting used to where the alt was a bit odd. Speaking of a bit odd, HHKB like bottom row with a 1, 1.25, 6.25, 1.25, and a 1. Not sure where this board's gonna go. Actually, I'm pretty sure I know where this board is going to go on the cool board. I personally like this board, but I think there are uncool factors about it that I like. I think I can recognize there are some issues with it, especially that right side left side USB-C port. Why would you do that to me? I understand not putting it in the back to not ruin that beautiful curve in the back. I understand that. I'm fine with that reasoning, but I'm not fine with not having it on both sides then. Come on, we have the technology. It's 2019. It's one of those things where there are some times I know that it has issues. I still work with it. I still use that board all the time, but something just fell. My accent light. But alas, I think I have to be realistic in recognizing those about it. What do we have next? This next board was self-described as, quote, the most exciting community project of 2019. I have a lot of issues with that statement. Maybe from that statement, if you've been around, you might know what board was self-described as the most exciting community project of 2017. This board is the ultimate demonstration of having too many cooks. Designed by and had input from Rama, TGR, Ascenic, and Oko. I'm talking about the Exent, aka Big Bezel Boy. The Exent was actually originally known as the M67A, fun fact, but it evolved as more members were added to the team to give feedback on it. But here's the thing, the board was actually pretty tempting because of that low price point. If you thought the M65A was very low price, the base kit for this was only $180. $180. Okay, it had an acrylic bottom, had aluminum top, you got a nice plate with that, okay? For $250, you got the premium kit, which included stabilizers, switches, and a GMK set specifically designed for that keyboard. Honestly, that was a pretty cool package when you think about it, okay? It was available in 8 or 12 degree typing angle, depending on what feet you use, and available in black, apple silver, powder pink, ionic blue, space gray, and rose gold. But this is the first board that really made me think, have the bezels gone too far with this one? Why the bezels. There were definitely some issues with this board, delays here and there, people saying, oh, I only helped with the initial design and then I scuttled off after that because of people having issues with the board itself. Do you want to have a board that's so large you can fit a soda on each side of the bezel? Then the Exent could be the board for you. It's not the board for me though. It does have an acrylic bottom with all those R's, G's, and B's, but I'm not about that. I'm kind of about that, but not for this board. This board didn't do it right for me. But the price was really inexpensive, and you know what, looking back, the price was kind of a good reason for a lot of people to get it, even if they weren't 100% on board with the looks. So what do you guys think? Where does the Exent fall on the cool board? How cool is it? How cool isn't it? Did it age well? Has it found its own little spot in the community, or has it mostly been forgotten and laid by the wayside? That's what I'm curious to hear what you guys think. I do not think it's aged well. I don't even think it didn't release well. I'll tell you that much. What do we got in chat? Chat, we got some solid meh, yikes, 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 meh, and a slam it into the cool zone. Looks like we got one outnumbered proponent of the Exent. Otherwise, it looks like you guys aren't terribly favorable about the Exent. I kind of understand why. Back then, I wasn't. I would definitely say I'm more okay with it now than I was, because back then I was definitely affected by like, man, all these issues with having problems. When it shipped, some screws were tightened too tight, acrylic bottoms that were cracked, some people got PCBs that were DOA, just shipping delays just up the wazoo. Maybe they didn't have boxes, I'm not sure, but it had issues. And the overall results, I don't think I would have waited through all those delays for. With that in mind, I think this is going to be Season 2's first yikes. But we're in the yikes. We don't have a reference point for the yikes yet. So we're going to set this as the reference point. Is it more or less yikes than the Exent? That's what we got to realize in the future moving on, because that's going to be a big one. Our next board is a 65% from Korea. It's very easy to obtain, actually. This board actually runs at least twice a year. It has a pretty unique look and pretty recognizable. It is something that is a hate or love in the custom community. It's the TX65. TX65 by Kin25 is a sandwich mount 65%. You know what? This is interesting. So it's $360 plus shipping plus PayPal. Pretty easy to get. The cases that TX board comes with are well loved. Like people are like, well, that's really a $330 board because like that's a $30 case. But look at that bottom row, the plate on the bottom row. I chose a non-built version because the plate is just a giant Swiss cheese cutouts on the bottom. And that's definitely one of the things that a lot of people don't like about the TX65. If I'm going to have a plate to support it, it's a very universal plate. So where does the TX65 fall? I think it's decent just because a lot of people like the fact that it's so accessible. The look of the sides, I have a TX60 I'll show. The TX65 has a very similar side profile. Available in black, silver, gray, and champagne gold. Here's like a champagne gold, and you guys see that unique side look to it. Very famous, known as the front as that TX lip that a lot of people know. So as Dixie mentioned in chat, there is one issue that a lot of people have with this board, which is the spacing for the edges. So if you look at the edge, it's hard to see from your view, but the edge distance between the edge of the keycap and the top rim looks a bit excessive. And not everyone's a fan of the seam either. A lot of people complain that it could be more betterly done. That's not a word, Huey, but it is today. It's well liked because it's easy to obtain for a sandwich mounted board with a brass plate. It does include a brass plate, but it's not a perfect board. Where does the TX65 fall on the cool board? I think if it's cool, it's pretty low cool, but I think if it's meh, then it should be really high on the meh because it still has a lot to offer for people who just want to try something like this, because most everything else is a group buy that's like once ever, whereas this runs 2 to 3 times a year and they circulate on Mech Market pretty easily. So where does this fall? This is definitely a grade above, normal prosumer like KBD fans, but maybe not as high as some of the super nice custom. New category, please, betterly. TX65. I'm pretty split about this. I honestly think it should go like somewhere in the middle. If it didn't come with a TX bag, it'd be a medium meh, says CFO. Man, I'm not gonna lie, everyone who buys one talks about the bag. The bag is a big part of TX boards, to the point where people join his group buys, and Kin has a section on his group buys where it's like, do you just want to order bags? Let me know how many bags you want to order. Because honestly, they are absolutely A+ cases. I got one right here. We need to put this on the board. We need to put this on the board, and we gotta decide soon, everyone. Hit me up with a 1 in chat if you think it's gonna be a cool. Hit me up with a 2 in chat if you think it's gonna be a meh. I'm just gonna average you guys out by my visual eyeballs. We got 2, 2, 1.5, 1.5. Ooh, you guys are straight in the middle. Leaning toward meh though. I love 1.5, so it looks like we are leaning toward, not completely meh, but leaning toward meh faux show. With a few people actually leaning toward the cool. We're talking about the TX65. Where is it falling on the cool board? We're gonna decide where it's gonna fall within the next 30 seconds. The 30 seconds have passed. You guys know what's happening. There it is. There it is, TX65, the highest of the mez. We're done with that one. Moving on, our next board is a fun one. It's the only Alps only 65% we're gonna be talking about tonight, which should already give away what it may be if you are in the know of the 65% game. Designed by AIO3 and vendored by Reconsiderate of SwitchPlate.co. This is a 65% board that essentially requires you to harvest keycaps from 2 other boards if you want to use the proper keycaps on it. This is the Lunar keyboard. It is an AEK Alps 65% board. You're supposed to use keycaps from both the AEK2 and the M0116. It opened on Monday, August 27th, 2018. Extras are available right now. I'm thinking about getting like a C-stock extra and like doing a nickel plating due to someone giving me crazy ideas that I shouldn't follow. It features a 4mm integrated plate, 1 piece with the top, 2 layout options. Only 50 spots were available when it first ran. Very simple 2-piece construction. You got the top that has the plate integrated, and you got the bottom. It is done in 70-75 T6 aluminum, which is a harder aluminum than most boards, which is usually done with a 6 series aluminum. The sides have this awesome curve that go with the AEK profile, and it's done very precisely to match that. So what do you guys think of the Lunar AEK 65% keyboard? I don't have one. I like it. I like the idea of it. Maybe I'm just like, I got some brown Alps recently and I'm trying to figure out where I should use them. So I want to like hype myself up that it's like pretty cool. So I can be like, oh, well, I'm just going to get a cool board. No big deal. But that's why I got you guys here. You guys here to back me up, okay? Is this cool or am I crazy? You know, if I'm insane in the membrane and it's not actually all it's jazzed up to be, and I could find a better use for my brown Alps. What do we got in chat? We got a high cool, cool plus, meh, solid cool, very cool. I think it has some awesome things going for it, okay? Integrated plate at a 4mm thickness. That's pretty nice. It's a very thick kind of feeling. Some people may be worried about the internals, how it might be. I think overall, I think it's gonna be fine. I think it's pretty cool. I think the curve on the sides is what really sells it. If you pull up pictures, you look at that side curve and you're just like, that was machined? That looked like it was sculpted by a god. Just kidding, it's not that nice, but it's pretty nice. I'm gonna say cooler than the TCV3, but not as cool as the 910 or the Singa. I think it's up there. Yeah, pretty decent. It's pretty decent. It's over here. I wish the board was available in MX. That would be truly the bee's knees. This next board takes the layout that was originally associated with what a 65% is. Today, what a 65% looks like is different from what we would call a 65% 2 to 3 years ago. Huey, what do you mean? What do you mean a 65% keyboard was different 2 to 3 years ago? Well, this keyboard has survived for over 4 revisions. It was inspired by the FC660M. The board I'm talking about today was kind of the original 65% design. It's the Clueboard by Clueboards.co, designed by Scully Dazed. So over 4 revisions I've done. It has an integrated plate, just like our last board, to give it a more solid typing feel. Aesthetically, the reactions people have for the high profile version are pretty mixed. If you thought the spacing for a TX board between the keycap and the edge was bad, then this is the Grand Canyon of gaps. This is, it's It priced between $200 to $230 without keycaps, RGB underglow, as well as an option for an acrylic mid strip. During the popularity of the FT660M, which was actually quite popular in our community for quite a while, the Clueboard did excellent to capture that rise and has kind of continued going strong since, with their own improvements and changes to Leopold's original vision to craft their own. But that gap, it's like worse than like the gap between my two front teeth. The Clueboard, guys, you got the two fancy keys on the side, in the corner, that people like to put artisans on because most people I know don't realistically use insert or delete that much, or at least not inserts. But then again, it's the Clueboard, so you can program them however you like. We got a lot of mez in chat. We got a lot of mez. I got one. I have one. Would you guys like to see my Clueboard? I can show you guys my Clueboard and go over it as well if that is a need to do kind of thing. I like my Clueboard so much that I constantly leave it in an unbuilt state in its original box all the time. That's how much I use my Clueboard. It's orange. It does support Alps. It supports MX removable keycaps. How cool is this board? It's held together as a two-piece construction, 3 if you count the acrylic, by just 2 screws, which is, I think, actually pretty cool. There's 1 screw here and 1 screw here. That's all. You use these 2 screws and it just comes apart. One thing that's pretty cool, I wish a few keyboards did, is it emphasizes that side LED glow for the RGBs by having a mirror piece on the bottom that just reflects the light back up and out, which is a nice touch for those who like it. Put a switch and a cap on the arrows to show that gap. I don't know if it'll show on camera that well, but I'll try. You guys see that? That coming across okay? Different strokes for different folks. So ultimately, we gotta decide now, how cool is the Clueboard? Got some yikes in chat now. I know we got some mez earlier, some cools earlier as well. Huey's going to have to make an executive decision today. You know what that means. Done. Right there. Our next board was in my opinion, a classy 65% with a very industrial feel. It was criticized quite a bit when it unveiled because of its high price. But of course, for that high price, you're getting quite a bit of a premium kit. Designed by Wilba and vendored by Zeal PC, I'm talking about the 65% known as the Zephyr. How cool is the Zephyr? The Zephyr, as I mentioned, the price was a bit high. Round 1, $550 plus shipping and handling. Features in-switch RGB LEDs, a USB-C port, black and gold PCB with gold traces, 4.5mm PVD coated brass plate. It is clamp mounted with a dovetail inspired interlocking construction technology, aka sandwich mounted. The plate is only ANSI wind keyless layouts. Regular / stepped caps lock or split or unsplit backspace were the only layout options you could go for, and also features anti-stabilizer wire popping out technology. So the board had very clean lines. The exposed screws you could see in the back and the front gave that really industrial feel, but for a lot of people it was a plus or a minus in that look. Came with Zeal stabilizers. So how do you guys feel about the Zephyr? I got mine. Typing wise, I love that typing, but I'm definitely a pricey boy. It's great quality for the anodization. It feels nice. It has that heft to it. The weight on the back, yes. How cool is this? If you walked in with a Zephyr, would you be one of the coolest kids in the room? If you went to a meetup like KeyCon where everyone was only allowed to bring 2 boards per person, would you see Zephyrs there? I think you would. I think that knowledge definitely has to at least make it cool. But what pushes it into the wow? That's the question that we need to really think about. Okay, I think the 4.5mm really thick boy plate is awesome. I love how it feels. I love the typing experience. The quote-unquote anti-stabilizer popping out that I kind of joked about does kind of exist. There are wires that don't move with, but that give a little sheathing for the wire that helps keep it in. The fact that it's a dedicated one layout only for me is an A+. The sides are a bit on the sharp side, but the front and back I think are absolutely beautiful, and the bottom is, yes, that weight, the font of the weights, that industrial, really strongly industrial look was amazing. Came in amazing packaging, which I still have. It's a really cool unboxing experience, but it's expensive. Like, dog, $550 around one? Like, holy moly. Because you're gonna want to sit down and think about this over some chips, which is what I did before I purchased mine. And that's why I'm gonna put it on the board. But Huey, where are you gonna put it on the board, you might ask? Well, Let's find out. That's cooler than the HHKB Pro 2, but in my book, it's a wow. Next up is going to be an interesting one. This 65% is more famous because of its clone than its original. What kind of keyboard is this? This is the Canoe by Percent Studio. Talking about the real Canoe here, not the fun new. The Canoe round one was $285 plus shipping and handling, but something really interesting has happened with the Canoe. Even though it got cloned and has more competition, prices have gone up. Round one, $385 with shipping and handling. Round two, $404 plus shipping and handling. The most recent FE round brings that up even higher. What are you doing, Percent? What are you doing? It is well known though for that very iconic top with that accented top piece that a lot of people very much enjoy. People like that arrow separator. People like the fact that you can mix and match that top accent piece and the weight for different color appearances, but people do not love that PCB that comes in very, very varying quality. Yeah, it's more style than substance. What do you guys think? Styling was unique. I agree, the styling was unique, and that's what caught a lot of people's eye when it ran, and probably one of the reasons it became a popular clone. Right above mid-cool for the port of being cloned, Jeff, meh. PCB issues, the tab makes it look like a file folder every time you see it. Raged Agent, meh, held back by the PCB. CFO says it's a high meh for him, dog. Low cool from Talisman Solution, a solid cool by Pilot XJ, and mid cool by Dewey. So I'm a person who likes usable products. And if a PCB goes bust enough for a board where it develops that reputation, I think that's worrying. So that's on one side. We all know the PCB is right? But on the other hand, it made a name for himself to be worth getting cloned in such an open manner. People like have whispers about this clone and this clone, but people straight up just say, oh, that's a Funu or that's a Canoe. It's straight up out there. Does that kind of make it cool where I had that street cred of like, we're so cool, we got cloned, son? Except for the fact that they're not making money from the clones. That's probably not cool for them, but I definitely think that not having a good working PCB is horrible. And I think developing and fostering a reputation where like, oh, the fake has a better PCB than you do, I really think that's a big perception issue. They knew about round one. Round two, even though technically round one that I talk about is the international round one. There was a Chinese round before that. So they knew about those issues. Round one still had those issues. Round two, when they raised the price, still had those issues, didn't fix it. This most recent round, this FE round that they're working on, they haven't said if they're gonna do anything about the PCB, and that's worrying. And it's hard for me to say it's cool because of that. I think if they fix the PCB, we can revisit this and put it with the cool kids. But until then, I think it's no different than that weird kid eating glue. Something's just not right with the Canoe. So I'm gonna put it by the CA66 and the Calm Depths. I hope they fix the PCB. This next board is an interesting one because it's not necessarily the board we're here to talk about. It's still a 65%, but we're talking about just a case. Just a case, you might ask? How are we talking about just a case, Huey? Are all these just cases? Well, when you build all of these up, you put your hard work into soldering it, putting component by component in. But this next one is more of a drop-in kind of product. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the Heavy 6 case by Ryan Norbauer. It's the case for the FC660C, described as the end game case for the FC660C. It offers a significant amount of powder coat finishes and a plethora of feels compared to anything else on this board. What board comes with like 6 different powder coat options for the finish? The back plate, steel. Logo on the back that a lot of people like, Ryan's Portcullis design. And for the ballers without a budget, there are the Monolith, all steel, baby, and the Monolivia, all steel rose gold finish, baby. And if you're all about that, this steel is real indeed. Does turning an OEM board to what some people may say is an endgame board, is it cool to do that to a keyboard? How cool is the design itself though? Many complain how bulky kind of looking when it first released. And for a lot of people, that really put a weird taste in their mouth. And that's mostly because you got the original design of FC660C and you got to expand around it. And there's kind of almost nothing to do then to make it a bit on the bulky side. A lot of people don't like that very shallow angle because a lot of people like the F660C with the feet flipped out, and even with the little risers, you're not getting anywhere near that. The prices for the normal powder coat finishes were in the $3 range, unless you went to Monolivia or Monolith, which you're getting at $900 plus. So, how cool is the Heavy 6? I think we can all agree, even if you don't like that weird bulkiness, I think there's definitely some interesting design language that Ryan put behind it. I'm gonna say it's not a yikes. It's probably better than a meh, but how much farther does it go? How much farther does it go on the cool board? There we go. There's some wows, low cools, mid, high cools, meh. Norb is a minimum cool below CA66. Low wow, low angle kills it. I think it's going to be a cool. I think if you task any other designer in our community to try to design a case around an existing OEM, I don't think anyone would actually want to take that challenge. And not only did Ryan take that challenge, and he has repeatedly now for the Norba Touch, Norba Force, and the Heavy 6. But I think for all three boards, he's consistently shown he's willing to change up his formula, and every time he does, it still works. It may not work for you, but I think it can be overall agreed that it's a cool working board for many people who like the original and want to make it better. It is a cool, but where on the cool does it go? That's the real question. So in true Ryan Norbauer fashion, we're gonna start the Heavy 6 down here, and Heavy 6 is gonna tell us, beam me up, Huey. That's where we're going. Mid-cool. Mid-cool on this side of cool. That's what we are doing. What I'm most excited about is when Ryan Norbauer designs his own board, completely original, outside the confines of an OEM design. Okay, we have our next board for tonight, and this board is the most consumer/prosumer board we'll be talking about tonight. This last board is extremely popular, with a lot of people starting out in the hobby due to its low price and rich features. The 65% features brass weights, Type-C port. It comes as a kit with stabilizers. You can get switches for pretty cheap. What is this, Huey? It is the KBD 67 by KBD Fans. QMK PCB has a grill style brass weight. It has the arrow separator. $224 with a brass plate and a hot swap PCB, and you can get it for under $200 if you get it with an aluminum plate instead. It has a bottom mount to it. What do you guys think? It has a slight curve on the side. The weight is similar to the TX87 weight with that grill. It's pretty good for people on a budget. It's not a tray mount. What do you guys think? It can bring a lot of people into this hobby, but at the same time, it's not perfect, but it's a good start for a lot of people. It has a slight curve on the sides too. Very, very slight. Different layout options. In fact, it's USB-C, pretty easily programmed from what I hear. Pretty decent. Has hot swap option, or if you want to solder, you got that too. But I think the fact that it has the hot swap option is the most attractive for people starting out. This is like one of the most attractive boards for people starting out, because most people starting out as an enthusiast or a prosumer, hard to get away from the arrow keys. You take your average person, you're like, want a smaller board, they'll be like, first questions will be either where are my function keys or where's my numpad, or one of the top ones I hear is, where'd my arrow keys go? Huey, I need my arrow keys. What do you use them for? Going down on a page because I don't want to use my scroll wheel. But yes, people love their arrow keys, and 65% are some of the best ways to get people into the hobby. And when you have one that's hot swappable so they can try out different switches, it is relatively inexpensive compared to some of any of these boards that are 65% on this. I think it's pretty cool. Its potential to bring people into this hobby. Is that a pretty fair assessment? I think that's kind of a fair assessment because you're getting a good amount of kit, relatively not that much. It's not perfect, right? Like, as enthusiasts, if you're really into this hobby, it's really easy to pick at this board. But when you're like, oh, it's $200 though. I can get a mid-range board or kind of high entry board for, a friend of mine who, wants to get into keyboards or just wants to improve their office experience. Maybe they want to be, the next XL king. Then this might be a good start. Well, not if you're going to be an XL king. You want a numpad for that. This is going to be quite the decision for a lot of people. I think it's a low cool. But I think we need to decide where on the low cool it really falls. And that's going to be the biggest decider. I think it's about on par with the plank, if not slightly higher. Maybe we need to move the plank down and put the KBD 67 right in between. What do you guys think about that proposition? I think that's a pretty good adjustment for the board. Move the plank down, it slotted right here. So as a quick FYI to people, a lot of people had a lot of complaints as the board filled up last season. So what I'll do is when the board starts getting pretty filled up, everything that's not a wow, I'll cut the pictures off and we'll leave just the tag, the name tags. Now it's the time of the night where we get to the stickers. I'm changing this up now. It's sticker time. We got some choices here. Okay, so let's start over on the Exempt. Just kidding, there's no sticker I can give it. All my stickers are like somewhat positive. If I had a rotten apple sticker, I'd put it there, but I don't. Next up, Clueboard. Does Clueboard get any stickers? I don't think so. How about the Canoe? I know you guys want a You Tried sticker on the Canoe. I don't think I have a You Tried sticker. I have a cool sticker, a good job, a great. I got a thumbs up. I got strawberries, owls, hot air balloons, wonderful, nice, and stars. Maybe a strawberry or a hot air balloon. Hit him with the nice. I mean, like, it's like a pretty bold and nice as well. How about air balloon for Canoe? Went really high, really fast, and then came back down. I like that. Let's go with that. I like that. CA66. Does he get any coolness stickers? You know what? I'm going to give it a sticker. While I understand the CA66 isn't perfect and it suffers from a lot of things, I personally like it. So I'm going to give it, I would say gold star, but the gold's like a yellow and looks more like a P. So I'm going to give it a silver star because I recognize the CA66. TX65, maybe it's a bit too plain Jane for a sticker. KBD67, probably one of the best values for a 65% in the community. We're going to hit it with a good job sticker, just like the Model MSSK. Put a P star on the Exempt. I mean, like, really, it's like this hideous yellow. Okay, moving up. M65A. What do you guys think? Does it get a sticker? It essentially launched Rama's keyboard career. It would have launched anyways without that board, but that's what it definitely did. It showed out of the gate he's going to give you amazing renders. He has good design ideas. I think it does deserve a sticker recognition for that fact, because if there's a career launcher, so to say, the M65 did that for Rama like no others. It may not be a perfect board, but that got his name out there in a really good way. I'm not going to give him a great sticker. I'm going to give him a wonderful sticker. I think it's another solid addition for Mr. Ryan Norbauer. I'm just going to give it a solid cool for doing something that most people would not rise up. Rising up to a challenge most people would not. The Lunar, it is the only Alps board, Alps 65% that we've talked about. Does he get a sticker? I think it's pretty cool for that though. Nice job, Alps. Nebula says no sticker. I don't have nice job, I have good job. Unless you want me to take a nice sticker and put it over where it says good on good job. That could be a thing. That seems like a lot of work though. I don't think so. 910, solid addition, but not Sam's best. And I think it could do much. I think he has better things that we can put stickers on. And the Zephyr, I mean, that's a thumbs up from the Huey. And I have one last possibility for you all to talk about. It's your 65%. What 65% do you guys think we should end with, if any? Has to be released though. I can sketch it here real quick and scribble the name. It's the add name here slot where you can add a name here. Bauer, hopefully soon when it ships. I don't think it's going to ship soon, but it's going to run soon, I hope. I think 6.5. I don't think, has it shipped? Is that shipping? I'm not sure, but hey, you know what? You know what's going to go here? I'm going to put, what am I going to put? I had something. Drop alt. It's actually going to do the drop alt. We could. No, we're not going to use those boards. Maybe another time. Maybe we'll have one where we can cover like all mass drop boards, where we cover the drop, the shift, the control, other crazy things that they've had on the sites for keyboard stuff. We could do that in the future, everyone. A future mass drop episode. But yes, those are the boards, the 65% we covered today. If you have any suggestions on what I should cover in future episodes, join my Discord. I have a cool board recommendations channel, and just list out in one post any recommendations you may have, either for individual items to cover on an episode where I kind of give you a scattershot of everything, or on a more targeted kind of episode like this one. And let me know what you think. Did you like me going over just 65% keyboards today, or did you want more variety? I'm not sure completely. I think this worked out pretty well, but definitely hope to hear your guys' thoughts on should I do more just categorical episodes or kind of a little bit of everything, or maybe both kinds of episodes. It'll probably be both kinds of episodes, depending on the different themes that I will pick and choose, or that you recommend me. Okay, you know what, everyone? I know a lot of people are saying things about CS66. Well, maybe we'll have an episode in the future where we revisit things. That could be the thing, right? Like how we move the plank, right? Like I said, you know, maybe if the Canoe fixes their PCB, we'll revisit it. We'll move it around. CA66 round 2 just started shipping. Maybe things will be happening. We might need to ship it around, move it around. We'll see. But until then, things are where they're going to be until we have the right time to take a closer look at the Clueboard. Thank you everyone so much for watching. I'm out of interests. All my stuff's down below, you know, subscribe, like, thumbs up, follow, join Discord, Patreon, Amazon affiliate links, inserts, the barf of things that all influencer types need to say. Watch my stuff. It makes me happy. Thanks everyone. See you guys in New York.